So a few weeks ago we were able to walk the property for the first time this winter, and we were able to check out the hinge cuts, see which ones survived, how the deer were using this area. And a cool thing is we got out and we actually did a little bit of shed hunting. So we're excited to see how well the deer are using the hinge cuts, as well as a couple different food sources we have in certain directions. So we're gonna head out, check out some of these areas and see if we can find some sheds that are laying up on top of the snow. So this time of the year we still have at least a foot of snow in most areas, so we're really just walking main trails that are packed down from the deer going from food to bed, which in this case is the hinge cut area. And we're not doing a full-on grid search. There's just way too much snow for that, so we're just kind of walking these main trails, checking the hinge cuts, checking right on the edge of the food source. We're just trying to pick up any sheds that are laying on top of the snow before the squirrels can get to them. And the cool thing about shed hunting in the snow this time of the year is you can really see which trails the deer are using this time of the year when they're shedding their antlers. If you were to go out when all the snow is gone, a lot of the trails you see that you might be walking for sheds are actually from the fall. So it's kind of a misrepresentation of what the deer are doing and how they're traveling through the property. So when you have this much snow, it's just really clear where the deer are walking right now while they're dropping the sheds. So it's the beginning of March, stepping foot into the bedding area here for the first time this year. Just kind of checking for some sheds that are laying up on top. It's been warm, temps in the 40s, snow's starting to melt a little bit, so gonna do a real light shed hunt, a little bit of scouting and just see if anything's up on top. And we'll be back in 3-4 weeks when everything's, completely melted off, and we'll follow it up with a real grid search for shed hunting then. So yeah, just out here scouting, having a good time. So we're gonna pull out our phones, we're gonna pull up mapping, our GPS systems. So I'm gonna start my Onyx app. You can actually go to the tracker tool and just click start. And then it'll use a GPS to kind of show you where you walk throughout the day. So it gives us an idea. Sometimes it gets a little confusing when you're just staring at the ground the whole time looking for sheds. So you turn on the tracker and lets you see later on where you walked so you can cover some missed spots. We're ready to go.
Oh, look. Got a shed up here. Looks like I got another one with it too. Nice matching set. Now we'll just get them next year and we'll document them for the next 6 years.
This must be a buck bed. Oh, there's a couple really big rubs leading into it. If you check out this big rub, sun exposure, elevation, a lot of big beds in here. Some focused bedding right here on this specific spot. 2 big rubs next to it, and just a nice spot where you can pretty much see all the terrain down below. So northwest wind, west wind, north wind, good spot for a big buck to bed. So we'll have to keep that in mind because actually you can see a lot of the other trails that we use right here. So maybe we'll have to adjust some of the habitat to make sure we're concealed when we go back and hunt this fall.
So here's the infamous blue urine. First time I ever seen it, I couldn't really understand what the heck it was. And then JJ did a little bit of research and found out that when the deer are foraging on the buckthorn, it's the buckthorn plant that actually creates that to be blue. And we've been seeing a lot of that around here, a lot of blue pea. So that tells us that buckthorn is a big part of their diet, which is good to know.
Find one?
Here we go. Now we're getting up in a little bit bigger size here. This is a western facing slope and the snowpack's a lot thinner on this side compared to where we started. So hopefully it's gonna be a lot more exposed. So this is a cool little spot we just found here. There's a lot of giant oaks out on this property. Like this is some old timber, and we found a couple now. I've never seen this. This one's a new one, but you can see, it's easier to see because it's winter. You got all this brown stuff that kind of just makes a ring right around here. And they probably even go up on some of these smaller oaks too, because they kind of bend over sideways. But this is a heavy turkey roost right here. I mean, that's a lot of poop. So I mean, this has been building up for all winter and probably even longer than that.
While we're out here shed hunting, we just stumbled upon a big mound of dirt. Bunch of hair in here. Is a den. I think it's a coyote den. And they probably got like 6 or 7 sheds in there with them, so. This thing's huge. Interesting. Never know what you're gonna find, I guess.
So it looks like someone's been through here. I don't know if it was DNR or coyotes or something. But when I found this a week ago, right now you just kind of got the capes, but there was a pile with some heads, some more spine and all that stuff going on there. There's actually 2 full torsos up there on the snowbank. The whole intact rib cages with the half the necks coming off them, 2 of them up there. You can see a couple legs still. Doesn't look like anything was dragged down the hill. So it looks like someone grabbed it and pulled it up this way. You got a beer bottle, but yeah, late February found this stuff, so not sure what it's all about. Someone just dumping some frozen old deer or people taking some deer out of season. But our property line is just back down that way.
A couple of the sheds that we found, one of them was just a set of a young buck, probably a 1.5-year-old buck. Chris found that right on the trail, one of these packed down trails deer are walking on daily. And then he found a 2-year-old buck as well that had a broken G3 on that one side, a 4-point side. Then he also picked up a nice 3-year-old 4-point side. So a couple bucks that we have on trail camera that we want hopefully get a couple more years of age under their belt. And just kind of cool to see that they're still using the property and dropping their sheds on that piece. Definitely an antler. Looks pretty chewed up. Maybe a 2-year-old. Looks like it's this year's antler. Maybe he just dropped early and squirrels and mice and rodents got to him, but not bad. Well, here's one laying right up on the trail. Another little guy. Looks like he's got quite a bit of his pedicle still stuck on the antler. Hopefully he doesn't get an infection or anything from that. It's pretty big chunk of bone there on the end of the shed. But yeah, a couple little sheds. Nothing big so far, but we'll keep looking. So now that the snow is mostly gone, we walked around. I found a couple little sheds, which is kind of cool. Not the bucks we're looking for, but actually my dad found a really nice set.
Yeah, hey! Oh, got chewed up a little bit. I can't believe both sets are laying right here. Man, they really stick out when it's cloudy like this. This is A buck we call Little Splitter. I can't believe we found the pair. As you can tell, he's got the splits up here, both G2s, and he's a 3.5-year-old deer. You can look at this; they haven't been down that long. You still got some of that blood still there. Yeah, nice. Boy, he's heavy, heavier than I thought. So he's not necessarily that wide, but he's going to score well as he gets older. He's got the mass, he's got the length on the tines, and at 3.5 years, you can't really tell. He could turn into a spectacular deer. Spectacular deer.
So Little Split is a 3.5-year-old buck. We got some good trail camera videos of this deer from last fall, and he was actually one of the last deer to shed. Little Splitter had actually blood on his pedicles, rings on those pedicles. You can see where he had freshly shed, and it's mid-March. So that shows that, you know, some bucks shed early, some bucks shed late. That's more of an individual trait, and it has a lot to do with the low stress atmosphere in the area, or harsh winters, or predation, or things like that. So I think next year he's going to be a really nice buck. He'll be hard to pass, but if we can get him 2 more years, could be something incredible. It's kind of cool to pick up that set, you know, just laying right next to each other like that. That's what it's all about, owning the property and being able to see that type of reward, passing up deer and just letting them have this as their sanctuary, as their core home area. It's cool to see that bucks actually use it. They're bedding there, and to find the sheds is just awesome feeling. So last season on the property, we found 5 sheds. This year so far, we already found 8. So, you know, it's a step in the right direction. That hinge cutting made a big difference, and there are still sheds out there too. We still got snow on the ground and some of those north-facing slopes. So we're still gonna get back out there and check more areas, but you know, we improved by almost double the amount of sheds this year. And even though we didn't find some of the big bucks we were after, you know, they probably shed in different areas. That also shows us that maybe our property has some flaws in the form of late season food. So, you know, the deer are leaving late in the year, that January, February, we didn't have the food to support them through that whole time period. So now this year we can kind of use that in our strategy to improve the property and hopefully hold more deer next late season.